Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's English file, paper 2 revision lesson. My name is Karabo C. This lesson is brought to you by Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Saibono Discovery Center and broadcast by Pakama Research and Development. Learners, if you want to get in touch with us, our question line is 082 760 2630. I repeat, you can ask questions on our WhatsApp line. It is 082 760 2630. What is the purpose of today's presentation? Tomorrow we have a date. At 9 o'clock you are writing your paper 2 English file. We will be providing you with tips and kindly watch the full presentation or scroll to the genre your teacher read with you in class. We will unpack type of questions at each genre. The duration of English file paper 2 is 2.5 hours for 70 marks. Candidates, please spend 75 minutes of your time on each genre. Use your time well. Remember, the question paper consists of 4 sections. That is section A for the novel, 35 marks. Section B, drama, 35 marks. Section C, short stories, 35 marks. Section D, poetry, 35 marks. The first instruction that you will get in the book is that you should not read the whole question paper, but you should only attempt or choose the 2 genres you have studied. So you will see the table of contents that will tell you or indicate to you what the genres are in this question paper. Then you choose the 2 that you have studied. We have on the next page what we call a checklist, and on the checklist it indicates to you the page numbers or the question numbers that you have to do. This is the time that you have to ask yourself a question. What 2 genres have I studied in 2021? So you only choose the 2. What you do is, if you have done a novel, you tick novel, Cry the Beloved Country. If your second genre is short stories, then you go and tick the short stories. Do not answer more than 2 questions, please. How do you manage your reading time? Remember, we arrive at the venue at 8 o'clock. You are seated. You do all the technicalities, the logistics of the exam, and you are given 10 minutes reading time. What do you have to do during that time? You must read the question paper, read the instructions, use the table of contents to locate your question, read the extracts, decide which genre that you were taught you will be answering first. That 10 minutes is really important. What else do you do with the 10 minutes? Is you read and you read again, and we encourage you to read yet again. When you are done reading, think. As you read, think. It is very important. And when the time comes, 9 o'clock on the dot, what do you do now? You write. And as you proceed with your exam, remember now and again you have to revisit the extract. You have to read the question. You have to read the line that's indicated. That is very important. The extract or a text is like an iceberg. At the top of the iceberg, what do you have? You have your level 1 and your level 2 questions that are out of 14. Then, these questions, the level 1 and level 2 questions, those are the knowledge questions that you have studied through the year, and they are found also in the extract. With level 3, you have inference type of questions, and they are worth 14 marks. You move on to the bottom, where you have your level 4 and level 5 questions, where you have your 7 marks, your opinion-ended questions. When you start with your question paper, you always get the giveaway questions or the must-get questions. This question, you must all get 4 marks. It is normally found in the novels, drama, and the question is pitched like this. Choose a description from column B, and you are given 5 options that matches or fits with column A, and there you are given the 4 options. For an example, you will have in column A Margaret Yavis in Cry the Beloved Country. And who is this Margaret Yavis? Is he Arthur Javis' wife or James Javis' wife? Mrs. Ditebe, who is Mrs. Ditebe? Is he John Khumalo's former wife? Esther or Gertrude? Gertrude, who is Gertrude? Gertrude is Stephen Khumalo's sister. So these are the knowledge questions that you find in the text or the rest of the novel. Either they come out either as the main characters or the minor characters. The second thing that you're going to get is an extract. Do not start writing or answering questions without reading the extract. It is very important that you read the extract. And the extract will tell you it is extract number B or extract number A, and a clue is given to the extract. What is happening shortly or in summary within that extract? In this instance, Khumalo goes to see the headmaster. And later on, you will realize that it puts the extract in context, where and what has happened. And lastly, at the bottom, you will see that it indicates to you where this extract was taken. This one was taken from Book 3, Chapter 2, and to be precise, on page 199 of your Cry the Beloved Country. In most instances, the first question that we are given on the paper, or rather the second question, would be the question on setting. And what is setting? Setting is the place, the extract in context, or what has happened. Let us read this opening of the extract that was given to you. Khumalo walked down the hill and did not stop till he reached the church. There he prayed for the chief and for the restoration of Ndocheni. The question is, describe the setting of the extract. So what do we want to know here? What does the examiner want to know here? The time and place. Setting. The answer to that is, the setting is the church. You can see it in the extract, the church. When? After Khumalo visited the chief, that will get you your second mark. Or where he prayed for the chief and for Ndocheni. So you will get your 2 marks. Important information when dealing with setting. Remember, there are 2 things that we are looking for. We are looking for the when as well as the where. The time and the place. That's very important, boys and girls. The next set of questions is tone. In all the question papers, or in a file paper 2 literature paper, you will be definitely asked on tone. There will be a question on tone. And what is tone? The question will come out like this. Write down one word. One. Remember, one word. Which best describes the character's tone of voice in a particular line. What we look for when we check on tone, we check the diction, the point of view, the syntax, and the writer's formality. We are used to certain words when we describe tone. And those words are usually happy, sad, mad, and surprised. But we have variation depending on the context of the extract or of the line. Happy, the person can be happy or pleased or optimistic. You just have to read and check the context and give us the correct tone. Sad or depressed or lonely or miserable. Candidates, in this instance, they've said write down one word which best describes the tone. Do not write happy and you write lonely. Make up your mind. If it's happy, it's happy. Do not guess. Otherwise, you will lose out marks if you write 2 when we have asked for 1. Let's look at Cry the Beloved Country in line 9. Stephen Khumalo says, so he prayed briefly. Into thy hands, O God, I commend Ndocheni. So Stephen Khumalo sits there and he says to God, into thy hands, O God, I commend Ndocheni. What tone would Stephen Khumalo use in this line? For 1 mark. And the next question would be, why would Stephen Khumalo use this tone in this line? When he puts Ndocheni in the hands of God, he is probably he's depressed, he's in despair, he's anxious, and we want to know the reason why. Because Ndocheni is in trouble. The children are dying of hunger. And he has tried to go to the headmaster and to the chief to ask for help, and they could not help him. So he resorts to what? He resorts to prayer. The third question is figures of speech. How do we deal with figures of speech in literature? A figure of speech is a word or phrase used in a non-literal sense for rhetorical or vivid effect. You will be asked to identify the figure of speech. We have several of those: a simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, onomatopoeia, idioms, and hyperbole. This you have learned through the course of your English study. In Cry the Beloved Country, let's look at line 9 to 10. It says, the wood and iron building was like an oven, and his spirit was depressed, his hope flagging in the lifeless heat. Identify the figure of speech in this line. The figure of speech here is a simile. And how do we know that it is a simile? The building was like an oven. The use of the like there indicates to us that it is a simile. Explain this figure of speech as used in these lines. The church was very hot, like an oven. Outside it was hot, and then inside also it was very hot. So they're comparing that to an oven. Furthermore, we have irony questions. What are irony questions? An irony is an event in which what on the surface appears to be the case or to be expected differs radically from what is actually the case. In other words, you say something but you mean something else. When you answer this type of questions of irony, it is very important that we see that difference, that radical difference. You are going to use words like but, however, yet, to indicate that transition, that you understand what an irony is. In this instance, explain or discuss the irony of a character's words in these lines. Closer to home, in Cry the Beloved Country, the headmaster explained that the school was trying to relate the life of the child to the life of the community and showed him circulars from the department in Pietermaritzburg all about the matters. Remember, Stephen Khumalo approaches the headmaster and says, children are dying. We do not have food. What can we do? And the headmaster is very proud to show him that this is what we are doing at our school. He brings out circulars and books. Then the examiner asks, the headmaster explains that the school was trying to relate the life of the child to the life of the community. Why is this ironic? The headmaster is saying something, but he means another. the answer would be, the headmaster says his teachings about farming relate to what? To life in the community. But unfortunately, what he is doing is much more academic and not practical. We cannot see what he is doing. We can only see the circulars and the books, but the effect, that relation is not translated in the practicality of getting or of the community getting food. So that's the irony. You have to get that but. After you have done that, you will be awarded your full 2 marks. Character traits, candidates. What are character traits? The character traits are what you are as a person. What kind of a person are you? Nice man? Are you a mean person? Or sad, confident, or nervous? So we have a variety of words that describe how a person is. In Cry the Beloved Country, what does this extract reveal about Stephen Khumalo's state of mind? Substantiate your answer. When you are asked to substantiate, it means you give evidence to support your answer. In this instance, Stephen Khumalo is devastated. He is distressed. He is sad. Remember the issue of the children not having food? That's his state of mind. Why is he like that? We are substantiating now. We are giving evidence and support. The chief and the headmaster are not in the position to change or restore the lives of the people of Ndocheni. And that makes Stephen Khumalo's state of mind to be as is, to be devastated or to be distressed and to be sad. So that's state of mind. So you must give the state of mind and you must also give an example when you do what? When you substantiate. An attitude of a character. You will be asked to state difference in the attitude of characters. In this instance, state one difference in the attitude of Stephen Khumalo and the headmaster in this extract. Khumalo is very concerned. He is anxious. He is worried about the community. And the headmaster is what? He is detached. He is indifferent. What does it mean to say he's indifferent? He's not interested. His ways are impractical. So we see the difference. You must have one character opposed to the other. Two different facts. Furthermore, you will also get questions on theme. Theme, we have broken it into two. It's the message. And that's your theme, the message of the extract or of the novel or of the drama, whatever you will be writing on the particular genre. The main subject that is being discussed or described in a piece of writing. Discuss a given theme in relation to a passage or to characters or to a genre as a whole. In Cry the Beloved Country, one of the themes is education. and you will be asked to do what? To discuss the theme, and that is for 3 marks. Stephen Khumalo shows compassion towards the Jarvis family after his son Mather's Arthur. Msimang shows compassion towards Stephen by assisting him in Johannesburg. That is if the theme of compassion is asked. If it's the theme of education, what are we going to have is education is very important. The people of Ndocheni would definitely benefit if they were taught how to plant, how to go about doing farming in the correct way. So that will be our theme of
excellence.
Education.
Excellence is a habit. Excellence is a quality you have, a quality I have. It's a quality we have when we honor what is true to us. Yes, we are gifted differently. uNkulunkulu akasinganga ngokufana. Excellence is striving for your best. Whenever you have a particular project, test, homework, uzibuze, ask yourself, is this my best? Can I put in more effort? Excellence is striving to be in the top 1% of the area in which you are gifted. And so I challenge you, in every single thing that you do, in every single area that you're gifted in, whether it's sports, it's academic, ucula, whatever that gift is, strive for excellence.
You have been given power to decide whether you want good results in your life, in your schoolwork, or you want bad results. As Tony Robbins said, it is in the moment of your decision that your destiny is shaped. And your destiny is shaped right now with the decisions that you are currently making in your schoolwork. So decide whether you want to be an A student and start working on it, because there is power inside of you. The infinite power is inside of you, and the time you decide to tap in that power, you will become who you want to become in your schoolwork.
Welcome back, learners. Open-ended questions. These are normally found at the end of your extract or of your questions, where now you are going to be asked a question and you are to give your own opinion, and your answer must be grounded in the text. You have to justify your opinion. You're going to give a statement and support it with evidence from the text. Candidates, in this instance, we use the Peel method. You make your point, you provide evidence, you explain, and you link, and you are good to go. You get your full 3 marks. Example of an open-ended questions. When you are asked to discuss your views, the response that we require from you is, you must start by saying either yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. Immediately you see discuss your view, it means you have to take a stand. You either agree or you disagree. The question: Cry the Beloved Country portrays the countryside as healthier than the city. Discuss your view. For 3 marks, you will say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree. You will give us a point, and you will tell us why you don't agree that in Cry the Beloved Country, the countryside is portrayed as healthier than the city. In the countryside, what do you find? We find agriculture, we find peace, you will hear the birds singing. And in the city, what happens? There are lots of cars, there's crime, there's violence. So you need to decide which side you are on. Whether you believe that in Cry the Beloved Country, the countryside is portrayed as healthier. You can even have a combination of both and say, yes, I agree, the countryside is well and good. There is farming, there is peace. However, this farm, Ndocheni, is barren. Children are dying of hunger. So it does not meet the criteria of being healthier than the city, because there is no care. So we also accommodate combination answer, but your answer should be rooted in the text. Our second novel is Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Remember, learners, the first question in the book is Cry the Beloved Country. If you did not study this book in 2021, do not answer. If you have studied Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, yes, you can. What happens here again? You are given the extract. You are given where the clue, what the extract is all about. And you are also given the indication of where the extract is and what has happened. In this instance, it is extract B, and then what happened? It is Dr. Lanyon's narrative. The same set of questions you are going to get also in Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Setting. What is setting? The physical setting of a story is where the story is actually taking place. Setting also refers to time. The setting can have an effect on the way a character develops. Remember, I'm going to repeat again. The setting has to do with time and place. Let's look at the question in Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Describe the setting of the extract. The setting is in Dr. Lanyon's home. Where and what happened there? The place where he narrates about his first meeting with Mr. Hyde, and that's for 2 marks. An easy type of question that runs through the whole question paper is a false question. With a false question, you are asked, why is the following statement false? In this instance, you do not do negative. Let's look at the statement. Dr. Lanyon personally tells Mr. Utterson about his last meeting with Dr. Jekyll. The answer is no. Dr. Lanyon does not personally tell Mr. Utterson, but what does he do? He writes a letter or a note. Then we have proved that this statement is false for 1 mark. Tone question. Refer to line 1. That's Dr. Jekyll getting in the room and asking, "Have you got it?" He cried. "Have you got it?" Then the question is, what tone would Dr. Jekyll use in this line? Remember the tone words that we have indicated earlier? He is impatient, he is desperate, he is nervous. "Have you got it?" he cried. "Have you got it?" Why would Dr. Jekyll use this tone in this line? Dr. Jekyll wanted to get a hold of or was interested only in the contents of the drawer. He has visited Dr. Lennon, but what he wants there is to get hold of the contents of the drawer. Then he shows what? Desperation, impatience. Figures of speech in Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Let's refer to the question. Refer to lines 5 to 8, and I showed me to master. Then I sat down myself in my customary seat, and with as fair an imitation of my ordinary manner to a patient as the lateness of the hour would suffer me to master. Explain how this figure of speech is relevant in this extract. The figure of speech is a simile. How do we know that it's a simile? The use of an SS master there. And the explanation, Dr. Lennon tries to remain as calm as he would be towards a patient at that time of the night. Remember the other gentleman, when he came in, he was impatient and nervous, and this one becomes very calm. There's the figure of speech. Character. What does this extract reveal about the character of Dr. Lennon? Substantiate your answer. Dr. Lennon is polite. He invites Mr. Hyde to have a seat. So, what must happen here, learners, is you give a character trait, which is polite in this instance, and furthermore, what do? You give an example from the extract or from the novel that indicates to you the type of character Dr. Lennon is. He is polite, and what does he do? He gives or he invites Mr. Hyde to have a seat, and that's for 2 marks. Or Dr. Lennon is calm, is collected, despite Mr. Hyde's impolite manner. Mr. Hyde is an impolite person, isn't it? Okay. State of mind question. What does this extract tell us about Mr. Hyde's state of mind? Substantiate your answer. Remember, when we substantiate, we give evidence. We provide evidence to what we have said earlier. I beg your pardon, Dr. Lennon. He replied civilly enough. What you say is very well founded, and my impatience has shown its heels to my politeness. I come here at the instance of your colleague, Dr. Henry Jekyll, on a piece of... So the state of mind there is, he is desperate. He is impatient. And why is he like that? He is impatient and desperate because he wants the powders at all costs. That is the example now. So you have your 2 marks, 1 and 1. Attitude. The character's attitude is how the character appears to feel about what is happening to him or her in the story. Think how you would describe your attitude if you were in a similar situation. Refer to lines 4 to 10. You forget that, to my politeness. State one difference in the attitude of Dr. Lennon and Mr. Hyde in this answer. Dr. Lennon is suspicious and is concerned. Mr. Hyde is nervous and evasive. So you see the difference in attitude of Dr. Lennon and Mr. Hyde. You give one and then you give another attitude. Two facts. Irony question again. Remember, irony, you're saying something, but you mean something else. In this instance, let's look at it as an example from Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Earlier in the novel, Dr. Jekyll says to Mr. Utterson, "The moment I choose, I can be rid of Mr. Hyde." Explain the irony of Dr. Jekyll's words. Dr. Jekyll says he can get rid of Mr. Hyde at any time. Yet he cannot do this without the ingredients of his potion. He cannot easily get rid of him like that. So that's an irony. He says to us, I can get rid of him. But we all know, remember I used the word but we all know that he cannot do it without the potion. So remember to show us the difference. What he means differing to what he says. In this instance, they use the word yet and we use but. You say something, but you mean the next. Theme question in Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The main subject that is being discussed or described in a piece of writing, discuss a given theme in relation to a passage. In this instance, one of the themes in Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the theme of deception. You discuss that for 3 marks. The answer is, you must include, amongst others, the following. Dr. Jekyll deceives his friends and society by appearing to be a respectable character, but finds a way through Mr. Hyde to indulge in his evil desires. Mr. Utterson deceives Dr. Jekyll by investigating Mr. Hyde. Do you see what's happening here? You indicate that there is deception at play. And you don't stop there. You give evidence from the text. Mr. Utterson deceives Dr. Jekyll, but at the same time he does what? He investigates Mr. Hyde. Dr. Lennon deceives Mr. Utterson by not telling him the real reason why he ends his friendship with Dr. Jekyll. Each time you write on a theme, you must give evidence. Remember to use the peel method. For full marks, your response must be well substantiated. You can score 1 or 2 marks, but your interpretation must be grounded in the novel. You cannot get the answer just from anywhere else, but it must make sense. It must come from your text. Open-ended questions. With open-ended questions, your answer still must be grounded in the text. You have to justify your opinion. You must give a statement and you must support it with evidence from the text. Again, the peel method. We use the peel method for theme. We use the peel method for open-ended questions. Remember earlier what we said? If we say discuss your views, you must indicate yes, you agree, or no, you you do not agree. In the novel Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Mr. Utterson is portrayed as a trustworthy man. Discuss your view. You must write a relevant response which shows an understanding of the following aspects, amongst others. Utterson knows the content of the will but does not discuss it with Dr. Lennon. He does not engage in gossiping about others. After Dr. Lennon's death, Mr. Utterson refrains opening the envelope until after the death of Dr. Jekyll as instructed by Dr. Lennon. And that is for 3 marks. You can also say no, and you give particular reasons why you do not agree with that. At the same time, remember, your answer must be grounded in the text. It's easy marks. Just think and apply the Peel method. Macbeth. In Macbeth, as your drama, if you have done drama as your genre this year, your chosen genre, you are going to be given an extract. You're going to be given a clue where the extract is all about. And you are also going to be given the context of the extract, where and what has happened. In this instance, it's Ross and Lady Macduff discuss Macduff's absence. And where does it happen? In Act 1, Scene 4. The setting. You describe the setting of this extract. Make sure you can spell the name of the castle when you speak of the castle. C-A-S-T-L-E. The setting is at Macduff's castle. Where Lady Macduff demands to know why her husband has fled. We're now looking at what? At the time and place. The false question in Macbeth. Why is the following statement false? Macduff's family is killed immediately after his failure to attend Macbeth's banquet. What is the correct answer? Macduff's family is killed after and not immediately. So you have your 1 mark there. The tone question in Macbeth, we refer to lines 6 to 7 of this extract. You know not whether it was his wisdom or his fear. What tone would Ross use in this line? Pleading, imploring, compassionate. He is trying to placate, or he's trying to comfort Lady Macduff. Why would Ross use this tone in this line? He wants Lady Macduff to understand Macduff's reason to leave. It was Ross wants Lady Macduff to understand the reasons why the husband is not at home. So remember the tone words again. Pleading, imploring. Figures of speech in Macbeth. Refer to lines 11 to 13 for the poor against the owl. Identify the figure of speech in these lines. Explain why this figure of speech is relevant in this extract for 2 marks. Macduff, the entire line says, for the poor wren, the most diminutive of birds will find her young ones in her nest against the owl. For the poor wren, the most diminutive of birds will find her young ones in her nest against the owl. So the figure of speech there is metaphor. And the explanation thereof is Macduff flees to England and leaves his wife and children unprotected, unlike the wren that will protect its young against the owl and That is for 2 marks. Macbeth character question. What does this extract reveal about Ross's character? Substantiate your answer. Remember substantiation again? You give evidence to support your answer. He is loyal. He defends Macduff's flight to England. Or he is brave. He visits his cousin Lady Macduff, knowing that his life may be in danger. And remember what we said about the character question? You give a character trait. He's loyal, he's brave. And you end off by giving an example. State of mind of a character in Macbeth here. Refer to lines 8 to 16. We're dealing with state of mind. And what is a state of mind? A state of mind is a person's emotional state. What does these lines tell us about the state of mind of Lady Macbeth? Substantiate your answer. Lady Macduff is in a state of confusion. He's in despair. She's also very angry that there is no reason. She's trying to find reason why the husband left, and she cannot really understand why she is alone. She's left alone with the children. She feels betrayed and unloved that her husband has left her and the children. So you're giving an explanation, and you're giving also an example. Macbeth's attitude. An attitude question here. The character's attitude is how the character appears to feel about what is happening to him or her in the story again. In this instance, state one difference in the attitude of Lady Macbeth and Ross in this extract. The answer would be Lady Macbeth is still angry, disillusioned. Ross is nervous and also is very evasive. So that's the attitude, the difference in attitude. You state Lady Macbeth's and you state Ross's attitude. The irony question, Lady Macbeth, this must not be thought. After these ways, so it will make us mad. Explain the irony of Lady Macduff's words in this line. Wisdom to live against all reason. That is in Lady Macduff's words. Sorry about that. It is ironic that Lady Macduff thinks that her husband abandoned her and the children, but he is fighting against Macbeth, who is a tyrant to all. If he defeats Macbeth, then his family is safe. Lady Macbeth, remember, she is worried that the husband left her. And she wants to know the wisdom to live against all reason. And why is this ironic? The answer would then be, Lady Macduff thinks that her husband abandoned her and the children. But what is really happening is he is fighting against Macbeth, who is a tyrant. And if he fights against Macbeth, and at the end, Lady Macduff will be safe and the whole of the country will be safe. Stage direction, very important in drama. He had none. His flight was madness. When our actions do not, our fear do make us traitors. In lines 3 to 5, Lady Macduff says he had none. and his flight was madness. When our actions do not, our fears do make us traitors. If you were the director of the play, what would you tell Lady Macduff to do when saying these lines? Then you state 2 points. A stage direction is what should the character do when saying the words. She should do the following: shake her head, point her finger at Ross, or wave her hands wildly in the air, and that will warrant 2 marks. The theme. Question. One of the themes in the play in Macbeth is the reversal of values. Discuss how this theme is relevant to Macbeth. Macbeth loses sight of his values after hearing the predictions of the witches. His loyalty to Duncan is an example of his good values, but this is reversed when he kills Duncan. He loses all sense of values when he kills Macduff's family and innocent people. Lastly, with Macbeth's open-ended questions, the answer must be grounded in the text again when you do open-ended questions. You have to justify your opinion. You give a statement and support it with evidence from the text. You use the Peel method. Again, the Peel method. You point, you provide evidence, you explain, and you link back to the question. Remember, discuss your view. You either agree or you disagree. Macduff is the true hero in this play. Discuss your view. Do you agree that he's a true hero? Yes. If he's a true hero, what happens? He goes against royal command and refuses to attend Macbeth's coronation or banquet. Yes, he is loyal. He's a hero. He remains noble and fearless. Yes, he is a hero. He is patriotic to Scotland and flees to England. He kills Macbeth and ends the suffering of Scotland. If you disagree, you say no. He is not a hero because he acts irresponsibly when he does not attend Macbeth's coronation. No, he is not a hero because he does not act heroically when he flees Scotland or when he leaves his family vulnerable. That does not make him a hero. And for that, you get your 3 marks. The next drama is My Children, My Africa. In My Children, My Africa, you will be given an extract again. It will indicate to you where the extract is from. A clue is given to the extract. You place the extract in context, where and what has happened. And where is the extract from? Act 1, Scene 5 in this instance. My Children, My Africa, the setting. Where is the story taking place? Is that it also refers to the time. And how do we find it? We get it in the way that the character develops. Describe the setting of the extract. The setting is at Kamdibu or Zolile High School, or the meeting place where Isabel Tami and Mr. M practice for the quiz. Remember again, setting, it's time and place. The false question in My Children, My Africa, Why is the following statement false? Isabel thinks that the statues were toppled by the slaves. No, it is not true. Isabel thinks that the statues were toppled by weather. They were not toppled by the slaves, but they were toppled by weather. This is a false question. The tone question in My Children, My Africa refer to lines 6 to 7. What are you, pharaohs? Are you? Remember the tone words? What tone would Isabel use in this line? This is where Isabel asks Tammy that would you want to start an insurrection in Egypt? And what is the tone? The tone is jocular, playful, humorous, and funny. Why would Isabel use that kind of a tone in this line? Isabel wants to lighten the serious mood that Tammy is in when he reflects on the enslaved people who built the pyramids. So she's trying to poke some fun and bring some lightness. So that's the tone. Then Tammy says thousands of them like ants pulling the big black blocks of stone with ropes being guarded by soldiers with whips and spears. This is what he finds when he reads his Bible, the Bible story. Refer to line 9 to 10. Thousands of them like ants pulling the big blocks. Identify the figure of speech in this line. The figure of speech is a simile. How do we see that it's a simile? Like ants. The use of the like there. Explain the figure of speech. Tammy compares the multitudes of slaves who built the pyramids to colonies of ants that will be impossible for a human being to count. The character question in My Children, My Africa. What does this extract reveal about Tammy's character? He is a critical thinker. The poem Ozymandias reminds Tammy of the oppressive white government in South Africa, who also caused the poverty and suffering for black South Africans. So there's an analogy between what happened in Egypt and what is happening in South Africa. Or Tammy is militant. He wants the statues or the symbols of the apartheid regime removed. How do we find that? We see critical thinker, militant as character trait, and then the example would be he wants the statues to be removed. Or he wants the South African government to be removed. State of mind of character of Tammy here, refer to lines 16 to 18, where Tammy now reprimands Isabel. Don't joke about that, of bringing them down. What does this line tell us about the state of mind of Tammy? Substantiate your answer. Remember, it is his emotional state. Tammy is angry, he is serious, he is determined. He is determined that the apartheid statues should be removed as a matter of urgency, for freedom of the black people is imminent or is unavoidable. So again, you give an explanation and then you support with the state of mind or with an example. Attitude. The attitude is how you would describe your attitude in a particular or similar situation. State one difference in the attitude of Tammy and Mr. M in this extract. Tammy is angry, he is disillusioned. Mr. M is probing, he is direct, he is sarcastic. It is in that instance where Mr. M says, am I not one of the people? My blackness does not make me one of the people. And Tammy, at that stage, he is very angry. Irony question, my children, my Africa. We refer to line 27. I've got to choose, and I go about choosing. Remember the irony, you're saying something, but you mean the next. Mr. M believes that as a black person, he qualifies to be part of the people. But Tammy does not think that way. He says, it is not automatic that Mr. M is one of the people. He must first join the activists to be recognized as part of the people. So there's an irony, we see the but there. Stage direction again in My Children, My Africa. In line 2, Tammy says, the people. If you were the director of the play, what would you tell Tammy to do when saying these lines? State 2 points. Remember, stage direction. What should the character do when saying the words? He should do the following: stamp his feet, beat his chest with his hand, raise his fist in the air to say the people. That's for 2 marks. The theme question. One of the themes in the play is violence. Discuss how this theme is relevant to Tammy and Mr. M. Remember, the theme message is the overriding message in that extract, and you should include, if it's violence, a few of the following. Tammy sees violence as a way to fight back against the oppressive apartheid system. Mr. M sees acts of violence as vandalism and lawlessness. Tammy thinks Mr. M is out of touch with the feelings of black people, while Mr. M believes education is the way to fight the system. So we can see the difference between Mr. M and Mr. Tammy with regards to the theme of violence. Open-ended questions. Remember, the questions or your answer must be grounded in the text. You have to justify your opinion. You give a statement and you support it with evidence from the text. You use the PIL method. You make a point. You provide evidence. You explain and you link back to the question. Remember, when we say discuss your view, you must either say yes or you must say no. You must say I agree or you must say I do not agree. The question in My Children, My Africa, open-ended question. In this play, Mr. M comes across as a selfish person. Discuss your view. You must write a relevant answer using the PIL method. Amongst others, these are the points that you can put. He's a selfish person, Mr. M. He does not respect what Tammy wants to do in his life. He's constantly telling him what to do. He does not join the boycott as he believes his way of doing things is the only way to go. If it's a no answer, you are going to say Mr. M devotes his life to educating the children. He tries hard to obtain a university scholarship for Tammy. He hopes to the very end of his life that Tammy will influence his schoolmates to return to school. Remember, your answer must be grounded in the text. Learners, we are now going to take a short break and then we will continue with short stories and poetry.
Good afternoon, learners. Welcome back. This lesson today is focusing on the literature paper that you're writing tomorrow. I hope you've paid attention throughout the session because many of the notes will assist you in your genre. Please remember that in English First Additional Language, the question paper is set on 6 genres, but you must choose only the 2 that you and your teacher read at school. We are now going to have a look at short stories. Now, in short stories, you will also receive an extract, and you must read the extract. And you will also get a clue as to the extract, from where it is. The narrator asks Eva to marry her. But you will not get a clue as to the context of from where the extract has been taken. The reason for that is that the short story consists of only one short story. So there's no act, there's no scene, so they cannot refer you to anything else. And that's why it's important, and I'm going to repeat it a number of times, that you read the full short story. You must actually read all 8 short stories. So you have to place the extract into context by yourself. You must think about it. Where in this short story are these events located? What has happened? So you must know the story. In short stories, we also have our giveaway or must get questions, but they might look differently. First one is complete the sentences by using the words in the list. So you will be provided with a list, like there on the screen, and you will see the question has gaps. You have to find 4 different words that will complete that sentence correctly. But the examiners are not just giving away these questions. They expect you to know your story, literally know your story. So in their list there will be 8 words, but you must select only the 4 that will complete it. And the correct answer is then the narrator learns that his father, this is father, did love him and helped his fiancée with the cornea to give to her sight, You see, here is where the examiners could easily catch you, because they've provided you with 2 homophones, sight and sight. It's spelled differently, but it sounds the same. That's why we call it a homophone. It is, think of an ear telephone, but you must know that this one has a different meaning than sight, which means to see. Remember, in this question, spelling counts. Then the setting. The story is The Last Breath. Remember that the physical setting of a story is where the story is taking place. But setting also refers to time. In other words, in the sequence of the short story, where is this extract? What is the setting of this extract? Remember that a setting can have an influence on how a character develops, even in a short story. The question is, describe the setting of this extract. Now, you saw in the tip that it is from the time when he's asking Eva to marry him. Then the answer is, it's at Eva's school where the narrator asks Eva to marry him. If you're given 2 marks, you must make sure that you give 2 facts, not only 1 fact. Then you will not get both your answers. And remember, this is an easy question. So time and place will give you the setting. Where is this extract taking place? And what is the place, exactly where it is taking place. Then your false question. Why is the following statement false? The narrator gives Eva an expensive diamond engagement ring. It's false because he gives her a cheap copper ring. That is something that you will have to know. Remember, this is not a comprehension test. You will not get all the answers of the easy questions in the extract. You must have read the story. You must know your story. Then the tone question. The question is refer to lines 1 to 2. I've given you the extract here. Dad, forgive me, I thought as I took out the ring. Looked at it for a while thoughtfully. A wry smile came on my face. Wasn't life queer? Now learners, it's very important that you understand the difficult words in the short story. For example, queer here means strange, and you must know that. So what tone would the narrator use in this line? And then you are asked, why would the narrator use this tone? The answer is, and you must remember your tone words, he's determined, he is certain, he's resolute. Remember we said with tone words, don't just give the obvious ones. Study a few word synonyms. Synonyms means words with the same meaning, so that you can give a very good answer. Then why would he use this tone? He is about to propose marriage to the blind Eva against his father's wish. There you have the tone, the reason for the tone. You will also get a figure of speech question. Remember, that's our easy questions. Refer to line 21. I had never, as an angel, so the whole extract is, a slow smile lit up her face as she looked up to the sky. I had never seen her looking like this, happy and bright as an angel. So the question is, identify the figure of speech in this line. What is your clue? Happy and bright as. So this will be a simile. And remember, learners, spelling counts. If you spell simile, smile, like this, you will not get your marks and then you will frown. So remember the spelling of simile. Explain the figure of speech as used in these lines. Now you can see it counts 2 marks. So this is a thinking question. It's one of those questions below the surface of the iceberg. Eva's beautiful smile is compared to an angel. There you see your comparison. I've never seen her like this. Happy and bright. A slow smile lit up her face. Happy and bright as an angel. Then characteristics. What does this extract reveal about the narrator's character? Substantiate your answer. What does substantiate mean? Give evidence to support your answer. He is caring. What is the evidence? He loves Eva and he wants to marry her. Or he's resolute. He goes against his father's wishes. Or he is loving. He is prepared to marry a blind woman. So you will get your marks for either of these characteristics because all of them are correct. But you only have to write down one characteristic and substantiate. So you give the characteristic and then you give an example why you are saying that it is true. Then state of mind question in short stories. Refer to lines 13 to 16. What does these lines tell us about the state of mind of the narrator? Substantiate once again your answer, counting 2 marks. State of mind means the person's emotional state. How does he feel? Emotions are the things that touch our hearts, emotions, and why does the person feel like that. The narrator is anxious or confused. There's your 1 mark. That Eva wants them to put the engagement on hold. He was looking forward so much to marrying this girl, to asking her to marry him, and he knew that she loved him, and he thought she would immediately say yes. Yet she wants them to put the engagement on hold. And there's a very good reason there for that, but he doesn't know it yet. So you must give the state of mind, and then you must provide the explanation for the state of mind. Then attitude. We give you the lines, but you must remember before you respond to an attitude question that the character's attitude is how he appears to feel about what is happening to him in the story. And it will always be a good idea to put yourself in the shoes of that character, because then you will understand why his attitude is like that. Refer to lines 2 to 4. State one difference in the attitude of the narrator and his father on disability. Now there's your clue. Difference on disability, not just what is the difference between the narrator and his father, because then you could have said the one is old, the other one is young. No, that is quite obvious. But there's a difference in opinion between the two of them on disability. So your answer will be, the narrator is open-minded, humane, but the father is discriminatory and ignorant. He doesn't understand that there's nothing wrong with a blind person, that you can marry a blind person, that a blind person can operate exactly the same as a person with sight. And therefore, he's ignorant, but the narrator is open-minded. He understands that because he sees into the soul. We are going to take a short break. Okay, learners, we're back. And this is, of course, also a good tip for you, a study tip. Don't keep on studying. You must take regular breaks, but plan your breaks. This one was a bit unplanned, but normally plan your breaks. And then you put in all your effort until you know it's time for you to break. Right, we're back at the attitude question. I want to reiterate that If there's supposed to be a question where you respond to the difference between characters, you must state 2 facts. Don't just focus on the one character. You have to say, this is the one character, and that is the character's attitude, the other character's attitude. Now we go to irony. And what is irony? It's an event in what is on the surface appears to be the case, but it differs radically from what is actually the case. Easy way to put it, say something but you mean something else. So the question here on irony, refer to line 21, till I can see the ring. Now remember, Eva is blind, and she's telling the boy who's in love with her that she can only get engaged to him when she can see the ring. Why does this sound ironic to the narrator? Because they all know that Eva is blind and it's impossible for her to see. But remember the but or the yet to show the 2 sides. She wants to postpone the engagement because she wants to see the ring. An irony question is always awarded 2 marks. You cannot get 1 mark for giving the first part of the question. No, you must give both parts of the irony side, otherwise you won't get a single mark. So it's either 2 marks or no marks. So think very carefully. Remember this keyword, but, that you must use to indicate the 2 sides. We go to theme. Remember with theme, we have shown you that theme, if you break it up, it refers to the message. If you break up message, then you have the word theme. So that is the message of the short story. The question is, one of the themes in The Last Breath is selflessness. Discuss this theme. Now, learners, you will be given a theme that the examiners want you to discuss. They will give you the theme, then you must provide information from the passage or the short story as a whole to explain the theme. The answer is, and why we put the answers like this is to show you that there's no one fast memo. It's not like mathematics where you have only a correct answer. More than one option is possible. It depends on the way that you phrase your answer, whether you will get your full 3 marks. So you should include the following points. The narrator loves Eva selflessly. Her blindness is not a deterrent. Initially, the narrator's father does not agree with the romance due to the fact that Eva is blind. The narrator's father donates his cornea to Eva, and that shows a redemptive quality within the father. Remember the theme that we're asking you about is evidence. The narrator's father is making sacrifices which will benefit not only the narrator but Eva too. So you have responded to the theme of selflessness. For full marks, your response must be well substantiated. That means you must give more than just 1 sentence with an answer. You will have to write something more to get your 3 marks. Then the open-ended questions. They must be grounded in the text. The open-ended questions, if you go back to our iceberg idea, they come from the bottom of the iceberg. They're hidden away. You must think. And we have taught you now in all our presentations that for open-ended questions, you must use your head and your heart to give your opinion. It must be grounded in the text, however. You have to justify your opinion. You can't just say, I feel like that, and leave it at that. Then you will not get your marks. So you give a statement and then you support it with evidence from the text. Use the Peel method. We've spoken about the Peel method. Make your point, provide evidence, explain, and link back to the question. An example is discuss your views on something and then you must either respond, yes, I agree, or no, I disagree. So let's look at the example. The narrator's mother is portrayed as a good mother. Discuss your view. Write a relevant response which shows an understanding of the following aspects. Among others, she is more understanding of how the narrator feels about Eva. The narrator's mother serves as a peacemaker between the narrator and the father. She asks the son to be more understanding of his father because he suffers from cancer. There you have your facts for 3 marks that portrays the mother as a good mother. Or if you disagree, then you say, no, she, like her husband, does not think it's a good idea for the narrator to marry Eva. She does not convince her husband to be tolerant of their son's situation. She uses her husband's cancer to blackmail his son not to marry Eva. See, so you're allowed to give a different opinion, but all these answers you can ground in the text, in the short story. What short stories must you study? Please make sure that you've read all these short stories. A Chip of Glass Ruby, Village People, The Fur Coat, The Doll's House, Transforming Moments, The Last Breath, Next Door, and the last one, The New Tribe. 8 short stories. Candidates, don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, I think the examiners will ask this short story and that one. No. Examiners are free to ask any short story. So they can pose questions on, they will pose questions on 2 short stories, but on any of these 8 short stories. You cannot decide for them. Make sure that you've studied all of them. How should you study for short stories? First of all, you must know the setting of the short story, the structure and plot development, how the story develops. Characterization in the short story. Make a list of the characters. The style in which it is written. Who's the narrator and what is his or her point of view? Diction and figurative language. You must understand figurative language. What do we refer to? Similes, metaphors, rhetorical questions, because you can be asked any of these rhetorical devices in this question. You must understand the tone and mood. Then we move to the poetry. This is the last question. This is question 6. So after this question, you will be done. And that is the last question in your very thick question paper. But remember, if you have been discussing poetry in your poems, in your class with your teacher, then you respond to the poetry question. If you discuss poems in the class, don't decide I'm rather going to respond to any of the other questions, because you will not get your marks. It's not a comprehension test. You must know your genre very well. Alright, so first of all you will get an extract, and this time they will give you the full extract, because the poem you can't cut up in pieces. You must read it, and then you will get your easy type of questions. You will get false questions. You'll get a question on structure. It's important that you know the structure of each poem. Is it a sonnet? What is a characteristic of a sonnet? You must know those things in order to respond to the question correctly for the full marks. Complete the missing words. You must identify figures of speech. In the identification of figure of speech, there is an easy and a more difficult part. The easy part is the identification, and the difficult part is where you have to explain it. You must be able to identify the tone in the poem. Now, let's look now at an example from a previous question paper. I'm going to read the setting for you from the poem. It's from the poem Captive. It's stanza 2. There now, the cows I love are feeding in some quiet sun-wished vale. Their lazy shadows drink the sunlight rippling on the grasses. There, through the long day, girls and women among the mealies chant and hoe. Their swinging hoes are like glitter of sunshine on water. There now, shouting happy herd boys, while they watch the cattle browse, are busy moulding mimic cattle from clay, moist and yellow. This was taken from line 11 to 22, that is stanza 2. Because the setting is where the story is taking place, but it refers to time. The question here is, describe the setting of the second stanza. Remember, you must refer to time and place. This setting is the speaker's rural home in his imagination. This counted 2 marks, so you must give 2 facts. He thinks of all the positive actions that take place, the singing, the shouting, the playing of the children, the animals, during the day in the village. So there you have your 2 marks for the easy question here. Make sure you have made a summary of all the poems. Learners, I cannot emphasize this enough. You have 10 poems that you must know. Again, you cannot decide what the examiners will ask of you, and therefore you must be able to respond to all these questions in all of your poems. A giveaway question. Complete the sentences by using the words in the list. So once again, they give you a sentence with 4 options. Then they give you a list with possible answers, but you must select the 4 correct ones. The correct answer is, this poem is a lament. That is the type of poem. With the speaker being in hospital. He suffers from a fever and longs to be with his family. Can you see that you would not have been able to respond to these easy questions if you had not known the complete poem, if you had not studied all the vocabulary? Read for keywords. The question is, explain the comparison the speaker makes between his situation and that of the bird in lines 1 to 4. The lines from the poem reads as follows. As a wild bird caught in a slip-knot snare, the plaited tail hairs of a dun-coloured cow, almost invisible, so tethered in the toils of fever do I lie. So what is the comparison? Both the speaker and the bird are trapped and cannot escape. And there you get your 2 marks. The tone in this poem, refer to line 31 to 32. But here I burn and shiver and listen to the buzzing of flies against deceiving window panes. The question is, what tone would the poet use in this line? The answer is, he is sad, he is frustrated, he is trapped. Why? The B part of the question. He is in pain and sad that he is trapped like a fly in an illness in the hospital. There you will get your tone marks. Remember to study your tone words. You must give the state of mind and then you must give the explanation. Complete the sentence. It's another easy question. The figure of speech used in their swinging hose are like the glitter is an example of a And then you are given 4 options: sarcasm, simile, irony, or metaphor. Counts 1 mark. Now remember that we gave you tips on how to get to the correct answer. So you must apply your multiple choice rule. In other words, you must try out everything to see whether it is the correct one. Figure of speech, you know now that's figurative language. Is it sarcasm? No. Is it simile? Yes. Why? How do I know it's simile? The word like. I'm comparing 2 things. Their swinging hose are like the glitter. There you have your answer. You must know your figures of speech very well. Make sure that you understand what every figure of speech entails. The question, refer to line 7, refer to against cold, hard, deceiving window panes. Identify the figure of speech and explain the figure of speech. It is personification. Why is it personification? Because the window panes are given the human quality of being deceptive. Don't just write, it's when a dead thing is given human qualities. You must explain it in the poem. So the window panes, which are objects, are given the human quality of being deceptive. They give the illusion of freedom as the flies think they can fly through the glass. So you have explained the simile. The personification, pardon me. Then the theme of the poem. Again, our little tip. Theme, if you break up the word the message, then you get to theme. The main subject that's being discussed or described in the poem, and the question is discuss a given theme in relation to. So here the question is, one of the themes in captivity is captivity. Discuss this theme. The discussion of the theme of captivity should include the following points, among others. The speaker is captive to his own illness or a high fever. He cannot escape from the hospital bed. He compares his captivity to a bird caught in a trap, made from the plaited tail hairs of a dun-colored cow. There is a false sense of ability to escape, as demonstrated by the flies wanting to escape through the window panes. You must picture a poem. Poems use beautiful words to explain something to you. The flies are buzzing against the window pane. Think of what happens in your classroom at home, because they think they can go outside. But it's an illusion. They are the captive of the house. And for full marks, to get your full 3 marks, you must explain it fully. Don't just write 1 word and think you will get your marks. Open-ended questions with poetry, the same. The answers must be grounded in the text. You have to justify your opinion. You must give a statement and then support it with evidence from the text. How will we do that? By using the Peel method. You make your point, you provide evidence, you explain it, and you link it to the question. An example of open-ended questions will be discuss your views, and your response will then be yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. What is my question, my open-ended question here? The speaker in captive can be pitied. Pitied means you can feel sorry for him. Discuss your view. The answer, you could have written any of the following. If you say yes, the speaker's circumstances probably force him to go and work in the mine. You see how you must know the poem, because otherwise how would you have known this? He is ill with fever in a mining compound hospital with no family to visit him. He's missing his family. He dreams about the village. He cannot be with his family as his home is too far away. He couldn't have been sent home to recuperate from the fever. He must lie there in hospital and feel better. But on the other side, if you feel no, Then you use the same principles. He goes to work in the mine of his own free will. He could have remained in his village where he was happy. He's been cared for in the hospital and he will be able to return to work. And for any of those things, if you've given enough substance, you would have received your 3 marks. So remember with the open-ended questions, because you're allowed to give your own opinion, just make sure that you write enough and that it is grounded in the poem. Don't think out an answer. Focus on the poem. Now I want to give you the list of poems that you must make sure that you know very well. Sonnet 18. Everything has changed except graves. Spring. Poem. Mid-term break. To learn how to speak. Still I rise. Captive. Death. And the 10th one, Alexandra. They are all in the same anthology, and you must make sure that you have notes on all of them. How must you study poetry? You must know who the poet is. You must know the themes of each poem. You must understand the vocabulary of the poem. Look it up in a dictionary if you still don't understand the poem completely, if there are words you don't know. Type and form of poem. You can see that's part of your easy question. Line by line analysis. You must be able to explain every single line in the poem. The tone and mood of the poem. And where will you find information on this? The notes provided by your teacher. You can go to www.pocketbook.coza. There you will find this presentation. Again, just drag on the red dot. You'll see at the bottom there's a red dot, and you just drag it to the genre that you want to see. You can go to the Mind the Gap resources, study guides. They are on the DBE website. There is the address of the website. But if you can't write it down now, you can just go back to the presentation and then go find this in the last slides. On this website, there are very good study guides on all 6 genres that will give you all the necessary information to pass tomorrow. And you have the rest of the afternoon and evening to prepare. So don't despair if you feel a bit lost at this stage. Just go back to all your notes. Be calm and apply your knowledge. What is the way forward? Tomorrow we meet for the English First Additional Language Paper 2. You will go to your classroom, like Rob has told you. You will be there at 8 o'clock. You will be seated, all the formalities will take place, and then you are given 10 minutes reading time. Make use of the 10 minutes reading time to read through the extract of the 2 genres you have done. Don't try to read through the whole paper, and don't focus on the questions. Focus on reading the extracts to make sure you understand where the setting is, the themes that are contained in that extract, characterization, etc. The paper is 2.5 hours long, and you have to respond to 2 genres that count 35 marks each. Each genre will have 2 questions. You must spend 75 minutes per genre. Every exam center has a clock on the wall. Keep your eye on the clock and make sure that you complete the first genre in the first 75 minutes and the second genre in the second 75 minutes. Underline the key words and question words. I've shown you examples when I discussed it. Karabo has shown you. You underline the key word. Find the question word and encircle it. Remember, you are allowed to write on your exam paper. You are allowed to take a highlighter with you to make sure that you understand the questions. Just remember that you're not allowed to use any Tipp-Ex, but you may cross out something that's wrong and rewrite it neatly. You must answer the questions after the exam has started. Don't just start off by rushing through the questions. Read the extract again. Follow all the steps like we've explained to you in this presentation. Write neatly and leave a line between questions. It's very important. Learners, you have a thick exam book that you may cover from side to side. Please make sure that you skip a line, that your work is neat. It's very difficult for markers to try and find answers, especially in the literature paper, because they have to interpret your answer, because you can put it in any way. But if the question paper is a mess, then you might disadvantage yourself. Remember, literature is the art of discovering something extraordinary about ordinary people and saying with ordinary words something extraordinary. Learners, we've come to the end of today's presentation. I hope you've used the question line to pose your questions. Remember that you can go back to the website, the www.pocketbook.coza. Go back, find your presentation and go through it again. And remember, be safe, sanitize, keep your social distance, and wear your mask at all times. Good luck, and we'll meet you again on the 26th of November for paper 3. Looking forward to it.